In this video, this is transition week with another significant trough that's going to be building in out west and a potential hurricane that could form off the southeast coast, plus a pretty strong cold front with very heavy snow followed by much colder air as we get deeper into the week. So let's take a look at the overall setup with the jet stream, and you can actually see this more significant trough that's going to be really building out west as we head into your earlier midweek time frame. Compliments of this Arctic high pressure again, that's going to drag down all the colder air and much unsettled conditions off the west coast. At the same time, we've got that dominant ridge of high pressure locked over the central and eastern two-thirds of the U.S. And with this high pressure to the northeast, it's going to develop this low pressure underneath into the southeast, and it's actually going to be pinwheeling this across in a low shearing environment. And this could form not only into a tropical storm, but it actually could form into a hurricane as we get towards mid to later week. So we got a lot to cover, but I appreciate all my followers out there. This page is actually up to 127,000 subscribers now, so I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I do daily forecasts in this update. In fact, I'm almost up to 1,000 videos on this channel, so I keep you well ahead of the storm. So if you want to be a part of this, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. It's free to do so. Once you do that, you're in, and you get all my daily updates, and I give you plenty of advance warning what lies ahead. So let's take a look at this setup going forward. Let's look at the satellite picture. This is newly developed Invest 97 out here in the open waters. It actually has a 70% chance of developing, but more concerning is this instability just north of Puerto Rico. That has the highest potential of developing over the days ahead. And with this ridge, it's really building over the northeast. I don't need to tell you how warm it's been over a good chunk of the northeast into New England. But that's going to be setting the stage for a potential tropical development. Here it is. So you got a 70% chance. This is rare, guys. We've already had Lisa and Martin form with hurricanes in November. And now we've got another 2 potential storms over the next couple of days forming. We could actually have 4 named storms in the first 10 days of November. That's a rare event. In fact, the last time that has actually happened and the most significant impact year was 2005. So that's how rare this is. And that's definitely a possibility. But I'm really more concerned about this feature down here over just north of Puerto Rico. It's got a 90% chance of development. The models are extremely bullish on this system. And with this ridge over the top, that's going to be able to sneak this underneath and really enhance this thing. There's actually a low shearing environment. The temperatures are 82, 85 degrees in this area, and most maulers are pretty bullish on this setup. So I think what's going to happen is, as we move forward in time over the next couple of days, here's the ensemble members from the latest European guidance actually has this taken in. We're talking about a potential landfalling tropical system. It would be either named Nicole or Owen, depends on which one actually gets named first. But it definitely appears that we could be looking at a tropical system making landfall into the state of Florida, but eventually getting squeezed with another Arctic front that's going to be building in throughout the week and going to be racing up the eastern seaboard with a very heavy rain event for them. So, man, we got a lot to happen. So let's take a look at the overall hazard setup this morning. These are your winter storm warnings. These areas in pink with the graphs on the bottom corner of the screen. All these areas in pink, that's heavier snowfall, compliments of that trough. It's going to be coming in. And check out the Sierra Nevadas. It's going to be crazy blizzard snowing up there, 1 to 5 feet all week long. Plenty of snow in the higher elevations. And look at the winds over the Dakotas. We got that another significant trough that's going to be building in, bringing a lot of heavier winds and a lot of snow back behind it. So as we go into Monday, you can see the significant trough that's going to be building in all the snow into Idaho, into Montana. Look at the ridge of high pressure, dominant Arctic high, 1047. It gets crazy cold in Western Canada into British Columbia, but look at all the snow further south and the rain coming into California. Not just Northern California, guys. We got some healthy totals coming in for Central and Southern California this week, but impressive snow for the Sierra Nevada. It's going to be snowing pretty good in the Nevada, going into Utah, portions of Wyoming, while we do have probably Nicole or Owen formed by probably Monday into off the southeast coast. And the rest of us is still under that ridge of high pressure under the central and eastern 2/3 of the U.S. waiting for that cold front. So check out the map by Tuesday. I don't need to tell you how warm it's going to be for most of the week. Really unseasonably warm conditions. It is transition week. What I mean by that is we've got this extremely cold air building in Western Canada. Those are easily, in the teens below zero, up some of these areas up here further into Canada, and we'll see our first single digits, if not below zero, temperatures of the year entering Montana by the time we get into Monday, with all that cooler conditions building in out west. And we're going to be looking at this low pressure that could be Nicole by then. So as we move into Tuesday, that's underneath that, bringing all that heavier rains along the coastal regions of California. San Diego gets in the action, San Jose, Sacramento, you just name them across the board. We're looking at possibly multiple inches throughout the week in parts of California along the coast. So Los Angeles, several inches of rain. Yeah, that's pretty crazy stuff. But it's coming, and that's very beneficial rains. And not just that, we got impressive snows in the Sierras, so that has to melt, and that's going to help too. So, but all eyes are going to be in this system out portions off the southeast coast, where that ridge really I think amplifies, and it's going to be sneaking this underneath and pushing it and pinwheeling it back in towards the state of Florida. So as we move into Wednesday morning, there's your temperatures. Not feels like, that's your actual temperatures approaching 20 below zero. And I think for the first time, we could be looking at negative digits entering Idaho into Montana by then, as much of the single digits, and that initial push of the Arctic air is going to be eventually pushing further into the south, into the southeast as we get deeper into the week. So by Wednesday, underneath that, we got more snow flying into Idaho. We got more snow flying into Montana, back into more rain for California. There's the ridge of high pressure over the northeast. You got plenty unseasonably conditions continuing for you guys, but that's going to help amplify this setup down here off the southeast coast. In Florida looks to take a direct hit with another landfalling storm as we get into, say, Thursday time frame. So that's where it gets significant as we go into Thursday, with that significant trough still building out west. It's really going to be enhancing and building probably a bona fide snowstorm in portions of the Dakotas, while this storm system gets dangerously close to Florida by the time we get into Thursday. So here's your setup for Thursday. This is big transition day, as we're talking heavy snow into portions of Montana, going into Wyoming, but especially as we get into the Dakotas, we could be looking at blizzard-like conditions, while the state of Florida could be looking at our tropical storm impact or even a potential hurricane. So that's some crazy stuff. We got a hurricane hitting Florida, and we got a blizzard happen into the Dakotas, right? So that's the setup for this week as we get deeper. And there's the wind gust for Thursday night, Friday. Yeah, at the same time, it could be looking at heavy snows. We could be looking at 40, 50, upwards to 60 mile per hour wind gusts with this system in a good chunk of the Dakotas. So that very well could be a blizzard type setup underneath that. So be prepared for that, because I know you guys have been plenty warm up there, but we got a lot of snow and a big transition week ahead. So here's the temperatures by Friday. So as we get into Friday, finally, a lot of you guys are going to be starting to feel the effects of this cold front. So these are Friday afternoon high temperatures going forward. All that colder air you can see where the cold front will potentially be already into Illinois, already into Indiana, swinging into Arkansas, swinging into North Texas. You're going to start to feel that cold front by then, swinging into portions all the way down into New Mexico and Arizona with that much colder conditions really moving in. So once you get that cold front, I think you stay cold for a while. So here's the setup by Friday, right? So that snowstorm moves out of the Dakotas. It moves into northern portions of Minnesota with some very heavy snow for them. Moves into Canada. The Arctic high pressure, 1043 Arctic high pressure, really builds in behind it. Look at the 540 line sneaking into Texas Panhandle, going into Oklahoma. That gives you the indication those areas are going to be freezing. And we could be looking at some sporadic rain showers into Texas, while this system out here is your remnants, or even could be that tropical storm. So as it moves into Florida, I think it's going to impact portions of, say, Miami to Cape Canaveral, and then it could actually swing back out over to the Gulf. But if it does that, it's not going to last long, because once it feels the effects of this cold blast and temperatures, it's going to really pinwheel it across, and that's going to swing it up the East Coast, but really enhance this into Georgia, South Carolina, into North Carolina, going into Virginia. We could be looking at some heavier rains sneaking up into portions of, say, Washington, D.C. by then, going into Delaware as this system will be moving across. But look at all that cold air that follows. This won't be until Friday, going into the next weekend, this upcoming weekend. But all that colder plunge while Alaska gets warmer, right? So typically when Alaska gets warmer, the lower 48 tends to get on the much colder side. And as we've been talking for a while now on this channel, this is 11th through the 15th of the month. Yes, you can see where the East Coast is. You're still in that normal conditions, if not above average conditions. But beyond that time frame, beyond the 15th, second half of November, you're going to be getting the effects of this colder air finally, and you won't be above average anymore for the East Coast. So here's the setup by Saturday. So you're still going to get extremely heavy rains, complements of this remnants of this low pressure, potential tropical storm Florida that could hit, back into Thursday. But by Saturday, all this swings up along the coast, so we could be looking at some heavier rains, actually even not flooding rains in a lot of these, especially coastal areas. But we could be looking at some pretty impressive healthy totals coming up by Friday, going into Saturday, with that system coming up the East Coast. And there's underneath, I can't even rule out, with that freeze line getting so far south, some snowflakes flying into Oklahoma, snowflakes flying into the Texas Panhandle, maybe just a kind of a chillier rain at some point as this moves across Friday night into Saturday morning. But underneath that, really, that amplified system underneath. But by Sunday, there's the cold temperatures, right? You get more and more. It's a step down process all week long. So by Sunday, a week from this, when I'm recording this video, we've got plenty. All these areas in blue are hit the freezing line. So we could be looking at locally nearing our first freeze of the season in Dallas, widespread 20s in Oklahoma and Arkansas, going into Mississippi and Alabama and to Tennessee. Ohio Valley gets into the action with those freezing temperatures. Again, you're still warmer on the East Coast, waiting for that colder air that won't arrive until the following week. So for the next 7 days, look at all that rain coming in for California. These are healthy totals, folks. This is your guide on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. 2, 3, 4-inch totals all throughout the week along the southeast, along the coast of California. Yeah, that is some very welcome rain as you're desperately needing rain out there, and in Nevada, going into Utah, into Idaho. Most of this will actually be in the form of snow. Midsection of the country, not that impressed. They've had plenty of rain for the past week or so, but all the impacts are going to be with what could be Nicole or Owen back here into Florida, with this tropical system going to be impacting Florida, going into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, into Virginia. All along the coast could be looking at some healthier totals, adding multiple inch totals throughout the week. And most of this up here will actually be in the form of snow. So yeah, look at all that snow in the higher elevations. Ample mountain snows coming. 1 to 5 feet of snow for the Sierra Nevadas, no question. It's coming for them. Healthy snows, 1 to 2, 3, 4 feet of snow in a lot of these areas in Idaho, into Montana, back into Wyoming. Could be looking at some impressive totals with even a blizzard happening by Thursday in the Dakotas and South Dakota. And this just swings across into portions of northern Minnesota, and as well as going into Canada with this particular system. But what happens the following week is really rare, guys, as Alaska stays warm, Hawaii stays warm, the lower 48 turns cold. In a rare event, the entire nation actually gets below average temperatures. That's actually a rare feat to see. But by the time we get into the second half of November, going into the 14th through the 21st of the month, all these areas in blue and green here are below average for the entire lower 48. So once you experience that colder air, that is going to stick around a while for the foreseeable future. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.